Today, I bring you the real story behind Meghan Markle's jaw-dropping appearance at Balenciaga's Spring-Summer 2026 show in Paris. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably seen the photos. Meghan, radiant and composed, dressed in that custom black Armani suit, sitting front row at one of the most talked-about shows of the season. The moment she arrived, the flashbulbs went crazy, but what came next was even crazier. Because within hours, gossip sites were buzzing with claims that Meghan was paid to be there. Some even threw around a number $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. But here's the thing. It was all a lie. Today, we're breaking down exactly how this lie spread, why it worked and what the truth really tells us. Let's set the scene. Paris Fashion Week, Balenciaga's highly anticipated show, and Meghan Markle walks in. The energy shifted immediately, cameras went into overdrive, social media exploded. And then the tabloids went to work. Within hours, not days, but hours, gossip sites like the Royal Observer, Wonderwall and Mandatory ran nearly identical headlines claiming Meghan had landed a 7-figure deal to attend the show. No contracts were shown, no official statements were made, no credible sources were named, just the usual anonymous insiders. Yet by morning, the internet was flooded with these stories, and the lie had been cemented in people's minds. Sound familiar? Of course it does, because we've seen this pattern before, again and again. Every time Meghan steps into the spotlight, instead of celebrating her achievements, certain corners of the press rush to discredit her. When she does well, it must be a stunt. When she succeeds, it must be fake. When she's invited, it must be paid. It's a playbook designed to undermine her agency, to suggest she can't possibly earn admiration on her own. Let me explain how these false narratives actually work, because understanding this is crucial. First, there's the seed one outlet plants an unverified claim. It doesn't have to be true, it just has to be sensational. Meghan paid $1 million gets clicks. Next comes the echo. Other outlets repeat the story, referencing each other as sources. 3 articles become 10, 10 become 50. They create circular credibility with no foundation. Then there's the amplification. Social media algorithms prioritize engagement over accuracy. Controversial content spreads faster. People share without reading. The lie becomes common knowledge. And finally, the residue, even after the truth comes out, the false story lingers. People remember the scandal more than the correction. This is exactly what happened with Meghan's Paris appearance. The lie was engineered to travel faster than the truth. But here's what the tabloids didn't count on. The truth had a powerful advocate this time. While gossip writers were counting imaginary checks, the truth was already out there, printed in the cut, directly from the source that actually mattered. Pierpaolo Piccioli, Balenciaga's new creative director and one of fashion's most respected visionaries, revealed the real story. He and Meghan had been in touch for years, keeping in contact through messages. They shared mutual appreciation for each other's work. When Meghan heard that Piccioli was debuting his first Balenciaga collection, she did something refreshingly simple. She reached out herself. Let me repeat that. Meghan reached out herself. She said, "I'd love to come." And Piccioli said yes. No agents negotiating terms, no contracts with dollar figures, no PR teams orchestrating deals, just mutual respect and admiration between two creative people who appreciate authenticity. Piccioli even admitted he didn't tell anyone she was coming because he wanted it to be a surprise. He later called it a beautiful surprise, adding, "In fashion, real surprises are rare, And this one was beautiful. That's not the language of a transaction. That's the language of respect. So why did the false story spread so quickly when the truth was available? Because it fits a narrative that tabloids have been pushing for years, that Meghan can't possibly do anything genuine, that her every move must be calculated or paid for. And let's be honest, it's not just lazy journalism, it's targeted framing. Think about it. When other celebrities attend Fashion Week, the coverage is glamorous or chic. When Blake Lively shows up, it's stunning. When Anna Wintour attends, it's iconic. But when Meghan does it, suddenly it's strategic, desperate, or suspicious. The double standard is glaring. And it consistently hits women, especially women of colour, women who challenge systems, women who refuse to stay in the box society built for them. There's also something else at play, the need to diminish Meghan's cultural power. Because her presence at that show did matter. It did generate buzz. But if the media can convince people she paid to be there, they strip away her agency. They turn influence into transaction. They make her a buyer rather than an icon. It's a way of saying she doesn't belong here on her own merit. And that's not just false, it's insidious. Now, let's talk about why this appearance actually mattered. Pierpaolo Piccioli's Balenciaga debut wasn't just another fashion show. After 25 years at Valentino, he was reimagining a legendary brand. His first collection looked back to Cristobal Balenciaga's iconic 1957 sack dress, a revolutionary garment that freed women from restrictive corsets, and reimagined it as a symbol of modern liberation. The collection was about empathy, humanity, and creative rebirth. It was about freedom. And right there in the front row sat Meghan Markle, a woman who knows a thing or two about liberation herself. She has defied constraints imposed by an ancient institution. She walked away from a system that tried to define and silence her. She's built her own platform on her own terms. Her presence wasn't just about fashion, it was symbolic, it was resonant. In a world obsessed with control and performance, Meghan represented authenticity without agenda. Her journey mirrors the message Piccioli was sending down that runway, that true elegance comes from freedom, not constraint. That's why fashion insiders immediately grasped the significance. She wasn't just a celebrity filling a seat, she was part of the conversation. And that's exactly what made the tabloids so uncomfortable. The problem with today's media is that once a lie starts, it's almost impossible to stop. The story gets mirrored across outlets, repeated on social media, reshared by accounts with millions of followers. The volume becomes overwhelming. And here's the psychology. People assume that if something is everywhere, it must be true. That's called the illusory truth effect. The more you hear something, the more likely you are to believe it, regardless of accuracy. That's not journalism. That's digital gossip disguised as news. And it's especially dangerous when it targets women of colour, women in power, or women who refuse to be controlled. Because questioning Meghan's authenticity isn't just about her. It's about sending a message to all women who dare to step out of line, who challenge institutional power. The message is clear. We will tear you down. We will question your motives. We will make sure you're never seen as legitimate. But here's what they keep underestimating. People are getting smarter about recognizing these patterns. Let's return to Pierpaolo Piccioli's words. When asked about Meghan's attendance, he didn't give a corporate statement or use carefully crafted PR language. He spoke from the heart. He called it a beautiful surprise, and emphasized how rare genuine surprises are in fashion, where everything is usually planned and strategically placed. That's not the language of a transaction. That's mutual respect between creatives who recognize authenticity in each other. He didn't see a publicity stunt. He saw a woman who understood his message, a woman who embodies the creative courage that fashion at its best celebrates. So let's be very clear. Meghan Markle was not paid. She was invited, she was appreciated, and she was respected by someone whose opinion actually matters in the fashion world. In the end, maybe that's what bothers the tabloids the most, because Meghan Sussex no longer fits their script. She doesn't need a royal title to command attention. She doesn't need permission to make headlines. And she certainly doesn't need to be paid to be powerful. What she brings to every room, whether it's a charity event, a red carpet, or a Paris runway, is something money can't buy: authenticity. And in a world obsessed with image, that might just be the most radical act of all. So the next time you see a headline about Meghan being paid or rebranding, remember this story. Remember who actually told the truth. And remember, the louder the gossip gets, the more it says about them, not her. Until next time, stay unfiltered, stay informed, and stay inspired.